All right, the more visual presentation is going to be in that half an hour about SignMaker. I was throwing this together with the other presentations, and it's a lot more technical and a lot more esoteric. So if you want to see something more visual, come back later. If you really want to dig down and see what is happening on the inside, this is really about the top of the SignWriting stack. We'll be talking about formal SignWriting. It's all related to the International SignWriting Alphabet 2010 and regular expressions as well. You just go to the presentation screen. This second presentation is on both of my presentation pages, either 43 or 49. You can find it on there. So it's an ASCII world. We're going to have a starting point where we just talk about 4 basic things you should really understand, like what's ASCII, what's a regular expression. I'm going to talk about token patterns, which can help you understand and visualize what's going on, and then just talk about hexadecimal really quickly. And then we'll get into the meat of it. We'll get into the definitions, where we'll talk about what exactly is a symbol key. We'll talk about number, as in number characters that we use in formal SignWriting. Formal SignWriting is next because that's built up with those blocks, and then at the end we'll get to the query strings. Query strings are really powerful for searching, and you can actually use those right in the new SignMaker, which we'll talk about later today. ASCII. It stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Long time ago, beginning of computers, you wanted to be able to put characters on the screen, so people came up with different numbers for different letters and had different standards. But this one really came out on top, the American Standard Code for Information Interchange, so that people in different parts of the country could write data with their ones and their zeros stored on a computer, and they could send it to somebody else, and that other person would understand what those ones and zeros actually turned into numbers, which turns into the letters. ASCII is the basis for text processing and standard definition. If you actually go look at the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force, that is a group of people that define standards for the internet. We're talking about the RFCs that talk about the email and how the email messages are supposed to be formatted in the underlying technologies. All of those have to be released in an ASCII format. Regular expressions are defined with ASCII as well. And those processes are really built for the ASCII, and they're really fast, and they're very narrow and understandable, and they parse really well. Unicode, you can think of Unicode as ASCII plus a lot of additional characters. It's a lot more complicated than that for Unicode, but the basic idea is that ASCII didn't have all the characters that we needed, so we needed to add more, which caused troubles in the previous generations before Unicode, where people would extend it different ways. So one group would say, we have ASCII plus, another says, we have ASCII plus. Unicode came along in and said, we have ASCII plus, let's everybody join together so we all have the same codes so that we can share information. ASCII is actually UTF-8, character for character by definition. So if you have an ASCII string, that is a valid UTF-8 string. For Unicode, there's also UTF-16, which is a horrible invention. I hope it dies. There's a great web page called Unicode Has a JavaScript Problem. Or is it the other way? JavaScript has a Unicode problem. That's because if you're searching for Unicode characters, you have to do it in UTF-16. And if you know what that means, it's horrible. UTF-8, a lot easier to use. And ASCII is UTF-8. You don't get any complications or any problems with regular expressions when you use ASCII. Fast, simple, very nice. Also, ASCII will outlive Unicode. Unicode is getting very complicated. A lot of technologies are working on top of each other. Definitely use Unicode. That's the thing to use for most of the world's scripts. Someday it might be replaced, or they might try to streamline it and fix it. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but as long as Unicode is around, ASCII will be used. And ASCII will be used long after Unicode. All right, regular expressions. You have to understand regular expressions. This is a great cartoon from xkcd.com. Let me just read it. Whenever I learn a new skill, I try to conduct an elaborate fantasy scenario where it lets me save the day. Oh no, the killer must have followed her on vacation. Let me read it on this one, I'm sorry. But to find them, we have to search through 200 megabytes of email looking for something that looks like an address. It's hopeless. Everybody stand back. I know regular expressions. Tap, tap, tap. The day is saved. Regular expressions are very powerful, very amazing stuff. You can identify text with a matching pattern. And it's faster to recognize a string with regular expressions than it is to analyze that same routine or that same string with routine. All right, here's some actual regular expressions. And if you want to follow along, you can actually go to regex101.com. It's a really neat website, which I'll bring up here in a second. So we have the star character. The star character matches a character 0 or more times. So if you give it the pattern ABC star, that's going to match AB. It's going to match ABC, or it's going to match ABCC, or however many C's you put on there, because it matches 0 to more C's. The plus sign, that matches the character 1 or more times. The question mark will match that character 0 or 1 time. And the pound inside the curly brackets, you can give it an explicit number. Let's give that a test on regex101.com. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Okay, let's try that ABC star. And we're going to do a G for the global flag. And that G says match it however many times you can. So I start typing. This is the string ABC. Didn't match it. It's capital AB. There we go. It matched that string because we're looking for 1A, 1B, and 0 or more C's. If I keep typing in C's, it matches those C's as well. As soon as I push a space bar, I broke the matching pattern. Now whatever I write down will not be matched. But again, if I later go AB, it's going to catch it. Let's see, that's the star. You can also use the plus sign. Plus sign means 1 or more. So down here, if I go AB, no, it won't match it. C, now it's matching it. And however many C's I put on there. Let's see, there was also the question mark. That matches 0 or 1 C's. So if I type AB, it matches. If I type a C, it matches a C too. But it won't match any more because that question mark needs 1 or 0 or 1 matches. And the last on that was curly bracket 3. All right, so I want to match 3 C's. So if I have a string down here with only 2 C's, it's not going to match it. But if I put a third C, it matches that too. All right, now we only have this last group, and this is all the regular expressions you need to be able to understand everything that's going on in SignWriting with our formal SignWriting. Let's talk about the first one. We have the brackets, and that matches any character from a list. So if I have bracket ABC bracket and brackets, it's going to match an A, or it's going to match a B, or it's going to match a C. It will match any one of those characters in there, but only one of them at a time. After that, rather than putting A, B, C, we can actually put a little dash between it, A through C. You could change that to A through Z and would match any character. So let's take a look at that real quick. All right. We want to match A, B, C, D, E, And each one of these is its own individual match, because I can put spaces through here and it's still finding all those characters to match. If I put F, it's not going to match F because F isn't in there. But I can just use that dash notation where I can put A dash F. Let's do that right. And then all of a sudden you can see that F that I have down there is matching. So that is what the brackets mean. It means pick one of them and there we go. All right, we have the parentheses, and that's where we can create groups for matching. The first type, we have A parentheses B, C parentheses plus. So that plus sign is just being applied to the B and the C. So if we have that, there we go. All right. We have A, B, C, or B, C plus. That's going to match the BC group one or more times. So if I have A, B, C, it matches that. But now I can repeat BC as many times as I want. And as long with that plus and that group happens one or more times. If I change it to an asterisk, that means it's going to match 0 or more times. And you can see at the top here that we are just matching A by itself. If we have AB, it just still matches the A. If we have ABC, there all of a sudden, yes, it can find the BCs, and it keeps extending our match. The other one was that question mark. So find the BC 0 or 1 time. So here it found the A, ABC, ABC, ABC. Or we could even go to that last. Match it 3 times. And it found that type of match 2 different times. All right, and the last time with the parentheses, there's something called a pipe. The pipe, for me, it's above that key. I put shift that, and I get the pipe. The pipe is an up-down vertical bar. For that, you can split off groups. So here's that group matching. Match the AB, match the BC, or match the CD. So let's get that up there. AB or BC or CD. So I'll type here. Nothing to match. I type AB, all of a sudden it matches. I type AC. Nope, that's not one of those options. Type BC, it matches that, or CD, it matches that. So that grouping with the pipe character says pick one of those options in this matching group. All right. Now, here's something I wrote about on the regular expression experts on LinkedIn, the end of 2011. Interesting post. You can go find that, or I'll send a link later. And that's how to write a regular expression to match a number. Now, our numbers always have 3 digits, so like 550. Now, to match that simply, we would just have that option group of 0 through 9, and that 0 through 9 actually matches each one of these individually. We have the 5, we have the 5, and we have the 0. But what we want is 3 numbers that are together all the time. So we have the brackets 0 through 9 3 times. Now, if we put our number back together, that matches that, and 120, and 009, and 749. All right. What if we only want to match certain numbers? All right. If we want to match the number if we want to match the numbers 122 to 455, we can't just do that in a single step. We have to do several steps altogether. The final regex looks like this down here at the bottom, but we're going to take this one step at a time. The first thing is we have to match the tens don't match, so we have to get the tens up to the same, and that's going to match 122 to 129. So let's write that. We're going to have 120 and then 2 through 9. Now that didn't match any of our numbers yet, because we don't have any numbers between 122 and 129. But as soon as we do, 129, that's between, so we can match that. 122, 123. If we go to 121, it does not match because that's not part of our expression. All right, and then we have the next one, which is going to match 130 to 199. So we have to write a different way that way. So we have 3 to 9 for that section, and 0 to 9 for that section. And that's not matching anything because we don't have any numbers between 130 and 199. So it will match that part of the regular expression, will match those series of numbers. So here's the final regular expression. Let me see if I can get that right now. 9, 3 to 9, or have that section. So this, once I combine it, I say either match 123 to 129 or match 130 to 199. And that this final regular expression here builds all these parts together, and that will match any number between 122 and 455. Being able to find numbers is very important when you're dealing with a two-dimensional script. And these regular expressions are key to making that work properly. All right, token patterns. This is a step between the formal sign writing and understanding how it's constructed. You can almost think of these as little game piece tiles. And here are all of the available tiles that we can have. At the top, we have the structural markers for A. That's, oh, let's look at it. A is what we use for a sequence marker. That means when I'm going to put a sign spelling sequence in front of a sign, I have to give it the A token. We have the B for a sign box marker. B is for horizontal writing. So if you don't have a vertical writing in your lanes, either the left, the middle, or the right, you're going to use the B token because that B says it's not in a lane vertically, and it's to be assumed that was written horizontally. We have the next three, the W, the S, and the P. That stands for the writing-based symbol, the sequence-based symbol, punctuation-based symbol. We have the two modifiers, which are the fill and the rotation, and we also have the number token. I put two examples up here. If you're talking about a writing system, then that is a set of 3 tokens. You have a writing base, you have a fill, and you have a rotation. And that is how we define a writing symbol. If you want to look at Cartesian coordinates, that is 2 numbers that have been put together. And so we express that with 2 tokens, a number and a number. Last starting point, the hexadecimal. Hexadecimal is base 16 number. So it goes from 0 to 9, and then it goes A through F. Our standard numbers are decimals, and those are only 0 through 9. And you can see the characters. Hex value 0 is 0, hex value 1 is 1. You get up here to hex value of A. That's equal to 10, all the way to hex value of F, which is 15. These hexadecimal values can spread out to be more than one character where we have strings. So the hexadecimal string of 10 is actually worth 16 in our standard numbering system, which is decimal, all the way up to you get to hexadecimal of FF, which is 255. You're going to be seeing some hexadecimal, and that's what it looks like. All right, the first definition is the symbol key. We have 3 different kinds of symbol keys. There's categories 1 through 5, which we call the writing symbols, and those are always used within the sign box in 2 dimensions. The writing symbols can also be used in the temporal sequence, which is our sign spelling sequence, how we sort our signs, and the writing systems can be used actually in both. The sequence symbols, that is category 6, or also known as the detailed location symbols. We do not use the sequence symbols in our sign box. We don't use those in 2 dimensions. They are used in the sign spelling sequence, and that can give us some really fine granularity in our sorting. Can also be used for detailed research. I think people have used it for some animation purposes. But in normal writing, you wouldn't really be using the sequence symbols at all because they're not really used for or needed for day-to-day writing. And a punctuation symbol, that's PIO as well. It's a punctuation base, a fill modifier, and a rotation modifier. If you want to read about more about symbol keys, you can look at the draft Slevinski SignWriting text, section 2.1. Symbol key, here's what it looks like. I have S1005F. We can understand that as the S is just the start of a symbol key. That's always how it looks. We have the base, which is the next 3 characters, and this base is 100. We have the fill modifier, which is that 5th one, and that can have a value between 0 and 5. And we have the rotation modifier, which can be between 0 and 9, and then A through F. To recognize a symbol key, we have a regular expression down here. So let's write that in. Symbol key always starts with an S. We can have 1, 2, or 3 for that first. And then we have the group of 0 through 9, or A through F. And we're going to have 2 of those, and that will complete the first 3 characters of our symbol key. So if we had S100, that should be a 2. There we go. It will match that, or S38B. Now, if we put on the fill and the rotation modifiers at the end of this, it's not matching those. That's because we need to add 0 to 5 for the fills. Right, we found it. And then 0 through 9, A through F. And then, as you can see, we can match any symbol key in the text. And we can have S107 or 105, 5F, 5A, 59. That symbol key is going to be able to be matched by that regular expression. If you want to see more symbol keys, you can go to the SignWriting character viewer, and you want to see the set, which is the key set for symbol keys. Symbol keys are always 6 long. Looks like I'm running short on time. Numbers. Numbers are characters. They're always 3 digits long. 2 tokens of number make a coordinate up. You can look at section 2.2. Numbers are 3 characters long. Here's the simple definition. Coordinates are 7 characters long. And that is actually 2 3-digit numbers separated by an X. Those number characters range from 250 to 749. If you wanted an explicit match, you can use this down here, and that will only match numbers between 250 and 749. But usually we just use the standard definition of 3 digits long. It's close enough. Formal sign writing, yeah. All right, a spatial symbol. This has a nice token expression where it's WIONN, and that means we have a writing base, we have a fill modifier, we have a rotation modifier, and then we have 2 numbers. And that is the definition of a spatial symbol that's used in the sign box. Yeah, because the sign box, we only use some of the tokens. We only use writing base symbols, only fill modifiers, rotation modifiers, and numbers. Right here is the token description in regular expressions, where we pick B, L, M, or R. We have 2 numbers for the max coordinate, and then we have 0 or more spatial symbols, which is that WIONN. If you want the real regular expression in formal sign writing, that is this one down here. And that is just the spatial sign box, where we describe the sign in 2 dimensions. We also have that temporal prefix we use for sorting. And in that, we can use the writing base symbols, but we can also use that sequence base symbol, which is category 6, the detailed location. Again, we have the token description for that, and we also have the what that regular expression part looks like. So here is a formal sign writing string and what it looks like, if it's up there. We have 2 different sections to it. We have a time section. We also have a space section. Time comes first, and you can just see as we step down, it's basically the letter A with 2 different symbol keys, and that is how it would know where to sort. But when we look at the sign box section, or that space section, we see that we have that prefix where it's the middle lane sign box, and we get that max coordinate. And then we have a couple of spatial symbols, which is the symbol key with the coordinate, and that's how we know how to build that image. The center of every sign is the coordinate 500, 500, and that's just because that's the middle of our range between the 250 and the 749.
Amazing.
Val,
Go ahead.
Should I keep going, Val, or should I jump into SignMaker?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to be back.
Welcome.
And thank you. I had to restart my computer, everybody, and it wasn't easy. I had just probably hundreds of documents open all at once, and I guess my computer ran out of memory or something, and so, I mean internal memory, just because of its graphics nature. So all of a sudden my camera wasn't working, and then I had to restart, and restarting took a good time, and I was worried it wouldn't restart, but it finally did. Well, here I am. Now, is the sound a bit echoing for you? It is for me. Anyway, I hope you can hear me. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not. Isn't technology marvelous? Steve, this is a remarkable presentation. It's about ASCII, and for those who are lay people like myself, it may seem overwhelming, and nobody has to memorize this. This is not for the everyday sign writing user. Somebody had just written to me to say, I don't understand software development. And so I'll write back and just explain that sign writing can be used on so many different levels that it's amazing. And Steve has been one of the people contributing to the software development of sign writing. And using ASCII, which is, I guess, have you described ASCII already in this presentation? I'm glad you did. To use that for writing sign language or sign writing is pretty astonishing. So I think it's cool that you're able to use the normal keyboard that we have when we buy a computer and use ASCII symbols to give us what you call formal sign writing. Isn't that true? Mm-hmm. And that's what you're showing us here. And a query is asking a question, isn't it? You're searching, essentially. Is that what that means? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let me just finish off these last few slides. I won't go into detail.
Yes.
And then we'll get right into SignMaker, which is a lot more visual and a lot more.
Okay. Very good.
All right. The a query string, that we just tell it a query string, and that query string will be turned into a regular expression, and we use that regular expression to search our text. So the simplest query you can have is simply the letter Q. Capital Q, and that means find all signs. The other short one is QT. QT means find all of the signs that are sortable. You can look at Draft Slevinski SignWriting Text Section 3 to learn more about query strings. So our query string of Q gives us this super long regular expression, and that super long regular expression is what we use to search a block of text. Here's a query string. It's going to find two different symbols. It's going to find symbol key S10000 and S205. If you know your symbols, one's the index finger, the other's the contact star. So this query string will give us these two regular expressions, and we use those regular expressions to do our searching. You can search either the temporal sequence, or you can search the spatial sign box for your signs. You can search for individual symbols where you don't need to specify the fill or the rotation. I see I put the regular expression down here. It includes this U character, and that means for unknown. Or ranges, you can say, give me a sign that has a symbol from this range, and that's just one base symbol to another base symbol. Temporal sequence, what it looks like. Sign box, searching that, what it looks like. And then I show some search results, which are also in the SignMaker presentation. So I will just get right to that. If you're going to be searching for a query string, the temporal sequence searching always comes before the sign box.
You don't need to go too fast, Steve. Nobody's rushing. You do it properly, okay?
Yeah, no, I can get more into query strings, but it's more esoteric. I'd rather get to the fun stuff and just start with SignMaker.
Okay, well, this is beautiful work, and so many people are using formal sign writing. It's remarkable, really. Look at that. Wow. Okay. Well, while Steve is getting his computer set up for the next presentation, let me introduce it. How about that? If I can find my papers. Okay. Oh, boy. Steve is going to present now presentation 49. It is on our presentation webpage. You can go to signwriting.org/symposium, and as you can see, presentation 49. It says it right here on the screen in the slide. And this is the use and structure of SignMaker 2015. And Steve has developed a new way to use sign writing with TrueType fonts, and it's on iPhones and tablets. So, Steve, why don't you start, and I'll be quiet.
All right, the use and structure of SignMaker. SignMaker is a standards-based editor that makes it possible to write signs in any sign language with the SignWriting script using the SignWriting 2010 fonts. SignMaker is built on the SignWriting stack, which I covered earlier. So we have the operating systems, our browsers, we have our TrueType fonts that we put inside scalar vector graphics that we can style with cascading style sheets. All this is working with our JavaScript. Our regular expressions are enabling searching and advanced processing. We have the alphabet, International Signwriting Alphabet 2010, and we have the way that we name our signs with our formal signwriting in ASCII. With SignMaker, I'm going to cover a couple things: download and installation. I'll talk about the symbol palette and the different kind of editors. I will talk about the dictionaries, how they work. I'll cover searching, and then there's some images that you can get out of SignMaker along with settings and preferences. And if you download it, you can do some advanced customizations. The first thing to download and install, if you haven't done it already, would be the TrueType fonts. There are two fonts you'll need to install: the SignWriting 2010 font and the SignWriting 2010 filling. For Windows, Linux, and Mac, you can just install those TrueType fonts directly. If you're on iOS, that second link with the guide.html, the TTF section, that will give you a configuration package for iOS, and you can download and install that configuration profile. If you don't feel like downloading and installing the fonts, or you're on Android and you can't install the fonts, you can still participate. You're just going to have to give your computer a minute or two to actually load those fonts in the background for you and make them available. For SignMaker, if you want to download SignMaker and install, all you need to do is grab the source code from that first link, download it, unzip it, and then just open the index.html file in any browser. And you're ready to go. It doesn't need a server. It's just standard HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can put it on your desktop and just run it right from there. I have a repository code, or a page with the code on it. If you don't want to download, you can either go to the first link, which is signbank.org/signmaker.html. That's a nice index page that Valerie Sutton put together. Or you can go right to the GitHub pages, which has a demo. It doesn't have any dictionaries from SignPuddle, but you can still make your own dictionary and write your own signs. The symbol palette. Symbol palette has all of our symbols. There are 37,811 different symbols that you can find in here. And it's based on clicking and it's based on dragging. The first thing you can do is you can explore throughout the symbol palette, and that's just a series of clicks. So you pick one of the 30 groups, and you get a bunch of base symbols that are inside that group. You click on a base symbol, and you get all the rotations and all the fills. So let me go back here for a link, and I will just go to SignMaker on SignBank. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find the US. All right. And it loads up with our symbol palette in the blue. And you can click on any symbol and you get more symbols underneath. We can go to the top with the top button. Let's look at all the different hand shapes we have. Well, I like that hand shape. Well, I need the other side, so there's also a mirror option that sometimes is visible, and that will flip around the symbol to the other side. So you can access all the different rotations, all the different fills for all of the different symbols. Now, to get the symbols off the symbol palette, all you have to do is drag from the symbol palette to the sign box, and you drop it there. This two-dimensional area is where we compose our signs, and this is where the sign will appear in the, or how the sign will appear. We can keep adding more symbols to make whatever we want. And that is the sign box. Here on the side, this long yellow strip, this is what we do with the sign spelling sequence. It's our time-based order. For that, again, we can just click and drag from the symbol palette. We can rearrange it within there. We can drag additional symbols. And this will determine where it shows up in the sorting. Sorting I'll get to later. All right. The symbol palette. Click for more options, drag to add. All right, our two-dimensional arrangement, that is in the sign box editor. Most of these actions work on the symbol that is selected. The selected symbol should be blue. We can rotate, mirror, change the fill, change the rotation, select next and previous, place over. I need to cover that. And then there's a couple sign actions you can do. You can recenter the sign. You have some undo and redo options. And you can also just clear all the symbols off. So if I didn't like what I was doing, I could just clear the symbols. All right, so let's do the two-dimensional arrangement. I'll put that on there. Well, I can have some rotate options where it flips it around. You can change the fill between the different characters. I need some more symbols, so let me just drag some more on there. And we can go through all the symbols with our select next and select previous, and it will go around and select the different symbols. I'll make that a little bigger. Variation we'll go through the symbol bases, which is kind of a fun feature. All right, centering and those sign functions. The center of a sign, when you have a head symbol in it, I just centered it, and it always puts the center of the head in the center of the sign box. If I have another couple signs over here, and I center it again, it's still centered, because when there's a head symbol, it's based on the center of the head. If I don't have a head symbol and I center it, it's based on the center of the sign image. So centering will do the entire sign. I was talking about the undo. I didn't like it when I just did that, and you can just slowly scroll back through all the different options and undo what you have done. Or you know what, I really did like that, and you can go back to redo and go all the way through the list of what you did. All right, and that last one was clear all. Okay, yeah, we did that. All right, the temporal arrangement. This is modifying where a sign is, or how a sign is sorted. And I showed you that the same way. You can just drag from the symbol palette onto there, but you can also drag from the sign box editor. So let's take a look at that. Sorry, losing my place. All right, we are, oh, I want to sort by this, and then I want to sort by that. And that right there will determine or sort order, and you can pretty easily and quickly build your sign spelling sequence so that they will sort properly. All right, the dictionary is that green section. And I've been talking about query strings, so we can actually throw those query strings right in this search field up here, or we can put in spoken language, and we can change the size of the signs that we're seeing. The signs are sorted, and we can just click on any sign to load it, and at the bottom you get some paging information. So right now, if you look at the bottom here, I have 253 pages of signs that I can show. And I can just scroll through those, and as quick as you see, the new page just loads. Let me make the signs bigger so a little bit more obvious. And you can see that signs that are the same or very similar, have the same sign spelling sequence, are all going to be sorting next to each other because of how we do the sorting. Let's see. If I wanted to type search for world, type it in there. As soon as you type it in there, you get it there. How about SignWriting? I really like that, so I click on it, and I have it in my sign box, and I see this is how it is sorting. Let's see, query strings. Capital Q, if I wanted signs that only had the context star, that is S20500. It acknowledged my query string, and now we only have, well, for the large signs, there's 517 pages that have the context star, and we can just scroll through all those results. We see that we only have the signs. If you don't want to write query strings, we can do it through the user interface. I will show that later. There are two types of dictionaries. There is my local dictionary, and with SignMaker you can make your own dictionary, and it saves it into the browser web cache. It's not kept on the server, but it's kept on your local machine. The technology is called local storage, and local storage is common for all the browsers. It's a very simple low-level API in the JavaScript and the HTML5. You don't need to know how it works other than it's connected to your browser and you can make your own dictionary. The other dictionaries are view-only dictionaries, and these are just exported directly from SignPuddle Online. They're based on specific sign languages, and you can actually copy an entire dictionary that's view-only and make it into your local dictionary, which will be stored in your browser, and you can make any edits that you want to that. The interaction will be there later, so that the SignMaker will be able to interact with SignPuddle online, and you'll be able to modify the entries on SignPuddle line. But right now, it is only a view only, and you can only modify and make changes to your local dictionary itself. All right. Oh, Dictionaries System. All right. This is buried in SignMaker, but it's under the More and then the System tab. So over here, I click the More, and I click System. Now, though, the specific entry we're looking at is this third one, which says Dictionaries. And so you can just click on that list, and here are all the dictionaries that are available. I can do my local dictionary, or let's scroll down and we could check out Korean Sign Language. Oh, they have two that have the contact.
Well, that's a small dictionary, Steve. Why don't you choose one that's a little bit more used? How about that? Why don't you go to Brazilian Sign Language or German Sign Language? Yeah, where are we now? Or,
let's go to Brazilian Sign Language.
What is this? This is Brazilian Sign Language.
Right.
So as you can see, people have, I'm sorry, Steve has chosen the dictionary Brazilian Sign Language. And I do have a feedback in your sound, everybody. I have a terrible feedback. Yes, you do have feedback. Okay. Do you still have feedback? Yeah. So I'm having.
All right, how about now?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Val.
No, is there any feedback? No, very good. Worked better for me, at least. All right, we're certainly having computer issues today, but who cares? We are here, we're live, and we're enjoying the presentations. While you're looking at that screen, if you can see me for 2 seconds, I would just like you to see that I have it on my iPad. And I think that's wonderful. So everything that Steve is showing us can be on your phones or your tablets, as well as your computers. And there Adam is showing the phone. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody grasps that one of the reasons that this is so important to development is that Steve has brought SignWriting, where you can actually write signs yourself and not just have it view only or something. You can really use it on your tablet or your phone. So I want to thank you for that, Steve. And while I'm breaking in like this, let me just tell you that Stefan has just sent us the cutest message on email in which he has a graphic showing you, Steve, just fabulous, you know, with your beard and doing 1,000 things with, oh, he's so cute with these cartoons he creates. And then he says, oh, you're doing a great job, but he's curious, is this new development of SignMaker important for Stefan's work with the SignPuddle? Does anything change if I create a new entry for the German SignPuddle? Or is this just for people who prefer to work with these new phones and tablets? Do I have to download any fonts if I continue to work with SignPuddle, as I have in the past? Those are very interesting questions, aren't they? So.
Yes. No, you don't need to download anything to keep using SignPuddle. The work is a new interface, and it's only a view of the SignPuddle, so you go into SignPuddle, use it as normal. Any new entries you put in SignPuddle would be available in SignMaker the next day. Later, we will get more integration between the new software, the new SignMaker, and the SignPuddle dictionaries. So it will give you another avenue. You can either go to SignPuddle and make the changes, or you'll be able to use the new applications to make changes. Won't change anything. There's just more options and more possibilities.
So, Stefan, it's not to be worried about. It's just new opportunities. And over time, later, you will be able to probably actually write some of your signs while you're on the go. Let's say you take a trip to another part of Germany, and oh my gosh, you've got your phone with you. You could actually add a sign to SignPuddle and use it through the SignMaker, and that could go probably up to Delex. So it's all a matter of coordinating all these programs. So the reason I'm so proud of the SignMaker 2015 program, which is the new program that Steve is developing, is that it's using the TrueType fonts, which then brings it into the world a little bit more. Isn't that right, Steve? What do the TrueType fonts do for us that is better than the older system, or has a different use than the older system?
There is a lot less server chatter, a lot fewer requests. If you looked at how that symbol palette was working, every time that we clicked on a symbol, it would show us the symbols that were underneath. And when it did that, it didn't have to request those images in SVG from a server.
Okay.
So before the symbol palette to load it, it would say, well, I need to show this symbol. Let me grab that symbol. Here's that symbol. Oh, you want a different one? It's got to make a request. And when that symbol palette has the 48 different symbols it's requesting, it's making a separate request for each of those symbols, or it was before in SVG. And nowadays, we don't have to make separate requests for every symbol. We just say, hey, you have the true font downloaded or installed. Just pull from that, and the pages and the images show up, and they're snappy and quick.
So to answer Stefan's question in a translation by Valerie Sutton, which is just simply me, I would say it would be a good idea, Stefan, for you to download those TrueType fonts that Steve has developed, called the SignWriting TrueType fonts, and install them. Absolutely. Good idea to have them on your computer. However, you don't have to use them right now in SignPuddle Online, because at this moment in time, SignPuddle Online itself is not using the TrueType fonts. Isn't that true, Steve? That's right.
Yeah,
But in the future, it will. But then we'll tell you when that happens. You're not going to be surprised. Meanwhile, the SignMaker program on computers and iPads and phones is using the TrueType fonts and still coordinating with SignPuddle Online. That is not. That's what's happened right now. Yeah, because Steve is in the process of developing the software. So he started with SignMaker on these devices, and from there we'll move forward. And the next step is going to be literature, etc., until it finally gets to SignPuddle, and that will change SignPuddle. But that's not going to happen for a little while. So now, Steve, I wanted to tell people one other thing. I set up this directory page for the beautiful SignMaker that you have right in front of us on the screen, and in the process, this is a really fascinating story. Can you see the user interface? Well, before we go anywhere else, I just want to stay right where we are. Can you see where it says user interface? You can choose what spoken language you want to use on your SignMaker program. And now Steve is showing us. You see there's Deutsch, and so everything changes over to the German spoken language in the actual words. That's excellent. See that? And then if you were to choose what language are Francais, okay, here we are in French. And you can see that the words are, I can't pronounce the words properly in French, but éditeur or dictionnaire or whatever. And so everything is in the French words there. And if you go back, Steve, to other spoken languages, we even have Russian. I know this sounds amazing, but please click for 1 minute. I believe we did, oh, you're in sign language now. That's okay. I just wanted to show the Russian spoken language for 1 moment. So can you see we even put in the Russian spoken language as best we could. I'm sure there will be users who will want to make additions and improvements to the spoken language part of this. That's fine. Just tell us, and we'll be able to give you the list of words we need to translate properly, and then we can improve it. And notice how we have the Portuguese, Brazilian, etc. And right now, this is so important. The user interface right now, Steve has jumped to having the user interface in written American Sign Language. So now notice those gray boxes were actually English words or spoken language words before, saying center or throw out or delete or next or whatever. And now it's being said in American Sign Language. So everything is an interface in sign language. So now could you go back, Steve? It's a little fast. If we now go back to English so that people can see the general idea. There we go. So now we have the user interface in English, and by the way, we could have chosen Arabic too. So now let's go to the alphabet. This fascinated me. I think when you're choosing your language, you should choose the dictionary for sure in the language that you want, and the user interface in the spoken language or the sign language you want. But when it comes to alphabet, I think it's important that you choose the International SignWriting Alphabet 2010, because we do actually have the individual alphabets for each sign language, meaning the symbols that you would use in SignWriting to write that particular sign language. And the reason that has a problem right now is that we don't even know what symbols are needed for some sign languages. And so Steve has based that on how many signs were written in the dictionary in SignPuddle, and then grabbed the symbols from it and figured out what was written or what was used. So for right now, I think it's best to stick to ISWA 2010, which is just the general international symbol set, and just use that until we get enough signs in the dictionary to be able to know what symbols you need to write with. I hope I'm not overwhelming everybody. This is a lot. But take a look at the dictionary. Want to go there, Steve, and show them all the choices? It's amazing. Look at all the choices of dictionaries you could go to. For one moment, since we know Stefan is watching, do you want to go to German Sign Language? That might be under Deutsch. No, they don't have it. Oh, good. And then maybe you could go to the German user interface for the spoken language. And Deutsch, it's Deutsch, D-E-U-T-S, there we go. And then you keep it at ISWA 2010 for the alphabet. And there we are. We have German words on the screen in the actual little gray boxes that give us the commands. But we have the signs from the German SignPuddle coming into the SignMaker program on your phone, tablet, or computer. So, Stefan, the dictionary that you wrote, which must have at least 20,000 German signs in it, in the SignPuddle online, is also coming in to SignMaker. And isn't that remarkable? And Steve, could you make it go a little bit small, have fewer signs on the page there? Maybe not that few, but just, so that we can scroll there, like there. So now we can really read something. And click on that one. Stefan, I hope you're giggling. Now that must be... Oh, there you are. Oh, yes, you're sad. Oh, you're thinking. I know. See, Stefan, and what did Steve just do? He enlarged it. How did you enlarge it, Steve?
Oh, since we're using TrueType fonts, we can just, I was just pushing Control+ on my keyboard, and that just makes things bigger.
Look at that. Woo! And then you can go back down again, right? There we go. Yeah. And Stefan, you have such charming things in your dictionary besides signs. But the point is, all of this can now be put onto your tablet and phones, and your students might really enjoy having some of these signs on their devices. So you can see you can change, and all you have to do is change language under the more, or that's the under, and then under system, right? You go under more and then under system to make these changes. And then there's a button. I'm sorry I'm taking over, Steve, but I'm trying to help those who are brand new to this. You might just want to make it, oh, look at that. Are those German signs? Oh, they're so cool.
Nope, these are American Sign Language.
These are, I like them. Can you see that sign that's down to the right? What is that sign, Adam? This one. Is that successful, or if you click on that, there it is. Isn't that a beautiful sign? Oh, show us this. This is notorious. Okay. Steve, can you teach us about the FSW and what this all means?
Well, let's got a couple more things to say about the
okay. You go ahead.
system.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. We let's see. If you're picking dictionaries, the My Local Dictionary is the only one that can be edited. That's very important, because right now I have the American Sign Language Dictionary picked. So it's a view-only dictionary. I can't make any changes. But I have this button under here that says, make this my local dictionary. And what that will do is if I make this my local dictionary, all of a sudden the dictionary goes to my local dictionary, and all of these entries are now in my local dictionary, and I can edit those entries. I'll show you the dictionary and editing soon. If you don't like what you have in your in my local dictionary, you can just empty my local dictionary, and now all those entries that I have in there are gone, and it's just a blank dictionary. I still have the one in the work end or the work area. I can just clear that out. All right, but no, I really did want the American Sign Language Dictionary.
Okay.
It's got to load. Loading. It's a really big dictionary, about 10,000 signs right now.
Yeah.
All right, make this my local dictionary again. I can edit it. Also, with dictionaries, since it's in the browser, there's these two right here. One, we can export the dictionary, and that will actually save a JavaScript file with the dictionary defined in a file, and that will download it to your computer. Or you can actually take a look at the dictionary source. I think I was actually going to show the dictionary source really quick. Yeah, I am. Dictionary source. And this is actually what the dictionary source looks like.
Wow.
Bunch of formal SignWriting strings and placed with tabs. So it's formal SignWriting string, tab, and a spoken language term. Tab, another spoken language term. You could make this kind of dictionary in any kind of editor, and you can copy and save the whole thing. You could select all and copy, and that you know that your dictionary source will be safe. And anytime you can paste it back into this, and you can use this button to import a dictionary based on a dictionary source that you made someplace else.
Wow.
Let's see. Working with entries. Every line of that dictionary is an entry because it starts with the formal SignWriting string, and then we have those spoken language terms separated by tabs. But in this, they're just in different fields. We can just clear the entry, which clears the workspace. We can update the entry because after we load an entry and we start making changes, we may want to update that entry, and that will update it in the dictionary itself. If we're creating a new entry, we'd use the other button, and we would save a new entry in the dictionary. Or if we don't want the entry that we have in the dictionary anymore, we can just delete the entry. Let's see what that takes a look like. All right, here's this dictionary tab. So here's our formal SignWriting string for what that sign is, and here's our spoken language terms underneath that. I see I actually have two signs for one. I like that one. I don't like that one, so I can just delete it, and it's automatically gone from our dictionary. This, I wanted another way to spell that. One. Not the right way, but if I wanted to do that, then I would update entry. Now, if I wanted to find that entry, I could type in 1, and there's all the signs that have 1 in them, or I could type 1 the other way I typed it, and that entry is still showing up because it is using that spoken language for the search. Let's see. Oh, if you wanted to save a new one, let's clear our search term. I could put a index and a star. I want to sort by index, and I want to sort it by the star. I'll call that the star, and I would save a new entry. Now the entry is in here, but it would be properly sorted, and in the sort order, that sorts right here. All right. Now, query strings turn into regular expressions, which we can search with formal SignWriting, but with the user interface, all this stuff happens in the background. Talk about how to search and diagram. I talked about that already. Here we go. If you wanted to search with SignWriting, but you don't want to go through all that query string stuff, you can just use the user interface. And there is actually a search tab. And you can search based on the sign box using these 4 buttons, or you can search on the sequence using these 2 buttons on the side. So we can search for the same symbols. So if I put this symbol in the sign box and I search for signs that have the same symbol, here's what I'll see. If I search for just the base symbols, that means that we'll use the same hand shape, but any fill, any rotation. And I will get different search results. Location searching, which I'll get into. Let's actually just use it on the user interface. All right, let's find signs that use this hand shape. So I'll go to search, and I'll say same symbols. All right, that is showing us search results, and the search results always have that hand shape that we put in there. If I wanted to search for that hand shape and the contact, same symbols. All right, now it's only going to show us signs that have that same hand shape and the contact star. Base symbol search, that's under here, and that, like I said, would you wouldn't care about the rotation or the palm facing. So let's search for the same base symbols. And now you notice that we have that same hand shape, but we're having it in different rotations with different fills. And we also have a lot more search results. All right, there is also searching by location. It's a little bit more complicated to show. I will look for this hand shape, but I want it in this part of the sign. And when I put it down here, that means it's going to be below the center of the sign. So let's look for any signs that have that same base symbol at this location. And I did base symbol location, and you'll see that it used underneath at the lower section of the sign. But what if I put it up here? I did same base symbol location. No, didn't find anything. Oh, there it is.
I see. I see. So it's not specific. Absolutely, you don't have to measure the line of your arm as to how far it can go. It's just sort of in the general area up in that square.
Right. They by default it searches within 20 pixels of where you put that hand shape.
That's very good, Steve. I didn't know about this. This is exciting.
Right, but say if well, there's an advanced feature. If you want to look into the query string, you can change the how far away it is. So we're going to vary by, let's say we'll vary it by 10. Oh, wait a second. I got to do this part first. Base symbol location. All right, so it's finding all the signs down here. It found 2 pages of it, but let's say it just varies from that coordinate by 10 rather than 20, and all of a sudden we're finding fewer search results. What if we do, instead of a V10, we do a V5? We only found 3, so only 3 signs use this symbol with a variation of 5 pixels. Or we could even do V0, and that means uses the same base symbol at that exact position. We didn't find any because no symbols or no signs are using that symbol at that exact location.
But you have this visual grid that you can also do it on. And may I ask a question? People don't probably realize yet, because we haven't touched upon it yet, that there's a way to change the grid to become more detailed. You know, in the yellow box right now we have a line going down and a line going across. If you were to put on the detailed grid, would you be able to search with more detail from a visual point of view? See, there's the detailed grid.
That is under More, Preferences, and I use Grid 2. We have Grid 0, which is nothing, Grid 1, Grid 2.
Right.
Yeah, you could really, let's put it a little bit lower and try searching there.
Would that change the search?
It would not change the search results, but you would be able to tell more precisely where it's positioned.
Okay. Very interesting. I'm thrilled about this idea to be able to search with visual feeling like that. That's amazing.
So those searches that I showed, the same symbols, the same symbol but with different rotations and fills using the base symbols, or the same symbol's location, or the base symbol's location. And the base symbol's location will say all the signs that use that symbol without regard to fill or rotation around that coordinate. So all of these four work with that sign box. Let's see, if I search here, I'll do same base symbols. All right, you'll see that this first sign that it found has that index, and if we click on the symbol, we can actually see that it started with that index hand shape in our sorting. But when we search with the by the symbols how they're sorted, we can get a better. Well, let me just show you. I'm going to put the symbol into the sign spelling sequence, and I say find the same symbols, or find the signs that have these same symbols in this sort order. So it's only going to use this information here to create our query. And these signs, if we click on them, you see that they all start with that specific hand shape. Yeah,
right. Boy, that's well done.
And let's see. Let's undo that. All right. Now we can also put that symbol up there, and I'll put a contact star, and I'll say base symbol sorted. And since I'm using base symbols, that won't care about the fill or the rotation. And you can see that we have all of these signs, and these signs are sorted by that hand shape and then the contact star. So if we click on any of these, we'd see that, yep, they start with hand, contact star. So you can really get, you can really jump to different parts of the dictionary in a sorted way. Like I just want to see signs that start with that hand shape. I'll say search the same base symbols, and then you'll see we jump to the part of the dictionary sorted where it has this hand shape and then the other hand shape. And since I did the base symbols, it didn't care about the rotation or the fill. So great way to use query strings. Actually, if you click on any of these options, you'll notice that our query string changes. So if I do same symbols, here's what the query string looks like. If I do base symbols, here's what the query string looks like. And it will automatically change that. So if you don't want to use query strings, you can use the buttons. But if you want to get into query strings, know that in SignMaker you just type them right in that field. Or you can just type in English.
Amazing. Amazing.
Go ahead, Bill.
No, that's all right. Please go ahead.
So in my presentation, I go through a couple of the search examples, and I show you what the search results are going to be like.
Yes.
All right, ping and SVG. It's really neat. You can get sign images out of SignMaker. So let's say I like this sign right here. I want to actually have it as a picture. I click under More, and I have two options. I can do ping, or I can do SVG. Now, as soon as I click on ping, this here actually is a ping. I can do a right-click on that, and I can save that image as, or I can copy the image URL, or I can copy the image, or I can even print the image.
Yeah, and it prints. It prints so beautifully. I was able to print huge. Can you show them that? Yeah, you're going to do it right now, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a size field. Size defaults to size 1, but you can go size 2, or you can go size 5. That's a little bit big for the screen.
I love it, and I printed it out on my computer. I couldn't believe it, and I had done it from my iPad, I believe. Wow. Very, very exciting. Yeah.
So if you were building inky flashcards, you wanted to paste a specific image, you could create your sign image in here, create a ping out of it, copy, paste.
Yes. And you can actually, if it's not an SVG but a ping, like you're doing right now, you can actually, I know you just said it, but I'm going to repeat it anyway, because it takes me several times to hear something before I get it. If you take the mouse and you, is it right-click on it? Is that what you would do? On the
Yeah.
actual, yeah, right there. See what he's doing, and that Steve is doing. It gives you all of those features, and you can copy and then paste into other documents. Isn't that true? It would go into, let's say, a Microsoft Word document, or as you just said, an Anki card. By just right-clicking on the symbol itself in the yellow sign box. You don't even have to do anything more than that, and you get it. Yeah.
Yep. You just have to go to More, Ping Image. It becomes a ping image, and you can change the color if you want. And that is all done with our.
I didn't even realize you could do that. So you could type in the word blue in English.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There are I use just CSS colors, so light blue. Yep, light blue works.
But you have a black center for the white fill. So how do you solve that one if you wanted to make the fill white? Oh, there it is. It says fill. Oh my gosh, duh. Okay.
If you would rather use hex colors, you can use FF0.
Yeah, that you know when you're doing web design, you start learning these numbers. Yeah,
or
that's a big.
12A.
Oh yeah.
217.
Oh my goodness, yeah. These are numbers in the different worlds of graphic design on computers, everybody. And isn't it amazing how Steve had that memorized? You're astonishing that way.
It's either 3 or 6 long, so.
So, yeah, so there's color, and then you can change the fill color with that fill button, obviously, and then change the color there.
There's also a download button. You click the download, and it saved it for me as vocabulary.ping, and I can just, after I download it, I open it up, and there's my image.
Wow. So it gives you exact color that you asked for. Very nice. And exact size, and is that a ping or an SVG? That's a ping, right?
This is a ping. This is an SVG.
Okay. So when you just did the copy, and where did you paste it? I didn't quite catch what happened.
I just clicked the download button and downloaded it to my computer, and it downloaded it as vocabulary.ping, and I can just open that up in any graphics program that understands ping.
Well, so if you were on SVG, could you download that, or is that not possible?
Click the download. I have vocabulary.svg. Let's see what and there we go. And that opens it up in the browser I was in. Yes.
And one thing I want to tell everybody, I wasn't able to open the SVG on all programs. It really does depend on the program, because SVG is a little more, what is it? A little harder for programs to open depending on how they're made. Is that right? I don't quite know the reason.
Yeah, well, there's a couple different things. One, Safari, that when you're using Safari on a Mac, those download buttons don't work. It just opens that image, ping, or SVG in a new window.
That's true, it does, yeah.
Right. For the rest of them, as long as you have the TrueType fonts installed, you can use the SVG. But normally, if you're going to be using it in other programs, the ping is a lot easier to use. The SVG is possible. It can just be a little bit quirky sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think it worked for me in Microsoft Word. I can't remember why. But ping did work, and that's all that matters. So I just wanted everyone to know that there's some kind of problem sometimes with SVG, only because not all software supports it. But here we are. This is great, Steve, isn't it? Don't you think so, Adam? Of course, Adam is muted at the moment, but you did say yes in your head, and you can see it. He's on his phone. He's writing sign writing on his phone. He's too busy.
Phones are a little bit small still for the type of interface I put together, but we can tweak the user interface. That sign writing stack works on the phones, so as long as we get the user interface workable.
Well, talking about that, I know, Steve, you told me that someday you're planning to do an app that would be very similar. Isn't that right?
Right. There's an app for Android based on SignMaker, and later I'll be able to make an app for iOS that uses the same code.
Well, actually, I want you to know there's somebody from Brazil who just wrote to me and said that they're using the app on Android. Isn't that nice?
Oh, yay.
Yay, I agree. Yay.
Here's this vocabulary.svg. If you view the page source, let's it's still going to look like gibberish, but it's an ASCII world. This is what the SVG actually looks like. And if you actually look inside, you can say here, you can find the formal SignWriting string is available inside there. And you can probably also see here, translate, here's our Cartesian coordinates that we use that are embedded in the SVG.
I see.
So.
And as you all know, everybody, both Adam and Steve worked on SVG for several years. This is not a small development to have SVG, but now it's being used a lot. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. I really love it.
All right, so we have images, ping, and SVG.
Yes, bravo.
Let's see. Available options. Oh, Val already went over part of this, and that is under More and Preferences. And we can just change the grid in the back between, I don't want any grid, I want the center of the sign marked off, or I want to see a lot more grid detail. So I can line that sign up right there. Just make the screen bigger. And you can really put things where you want it and adjust. Under here, I love these. This is the CSS, which is just fun. We can have black on white. We can have white on black.
Well, we don't go too fast. Here's white on black. Here's black on white. Yeah, wait a minute. So let's go back to black on white. I like the black on white. Just give us a minute to look at it, Steve, because it takes a minute to come up on your screen.
Sure.
And we're still waiting to see black on white. I'm not seeing it. Can you click on black on white again? Are you seeing it, guys?
Yes, I'm seeing black on white.
Oh, all right. Well, my screen must be frozen then, so go right ahead.
Yep.
Don't ask me.
Then we have the white on black, which gives us that inverse image.
Very nice. There comes black on white for me. I don't know why. Isn't that funny? It's all good. So it's beautiful. Gee, it's amazing.
And then we have the colorful option, which you can see the symbol palettes in blue, the editors are yellow, command buttons are on the orange, and our dictionaries in the green.
Very nice.
But I like switching between the three different views just because with our TrueType fonts and our cascading style sheets, it just automatically loads it. Where before, when we're using the server-side SVG, it would have to grab a new image for every sign that it's showing, and it would have to grab a new image for every symbol that it was showing. And that can really delay pages, and they really flicker a lot more.
Yeah, so the TrueType fonts, in other words, have speeded up the use of the symbols, right? It's made it faster to grab the symbols, yes.
Right, and there's no delay between seeing the symbols.
Yes, very, very impressive, yeah.
Let's see, available options, went over those. System, okay, we were looking at the system, and we talked about how you can change the user interface between the different spoken languages. We can even do sign language interfaces. Then there's the alphabet subsets. Let's talk about that really quick. Not a true alphabet subset, but what it is, it's a programmatic subset. So for all of the different SignPuddles, I went through and wrote a program that says, okay, go to that dictionary that they have and grab all the signs that they're using and find all the symbols in those signs and only show signs that they actually are using. For small dictionaries, you don't really get enough to write with. That's why Val was saying stick with the ISWA 2010. For other ones, for really large ones, you're not really going to see that much difference. Because here is the new subset. And for ASL, under the index hand shape, these are the symbols that people are using. But if I went to that same subset with the ISWA 2010 and went under the index, you'll see that there's actually 4 more hand shapes. That's because under the index hand, there are 4 hand shapes that don't appear in the ASL dictionary. Now, this is not to say that all of these, when we go to ASL, American Sign Language, and we go to that index, we're not saying that these are all the ones that are necessarily or should be in the ASL alphabet. I'm saying that in the SignPuddle ASL dictionary, these are all the hand shapes that are used. So if there's a hand shape that you think, well, this hand shape right here does not belong in the dictionary. So you could just drag that over.
Oh.
You could search in the dictionary and show me all the signs that
are using it.
Right. Oh, let me.
It's okay, but this is a fascinating idea that you could hone in on what symbols are really needed for writing just your one sign language. That's what you're saying, I think. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me actually load up the ASL dictionary so I can search in it.
Well, this has become very complex because there are different writers of American Sign Language, and some of them use small variational differences between symbols, really minor differences, and yet that could create a new symbol within the list, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. That's one of the big issues that we'll be facing in the future years, is pinning down what symbols are absolutely necessary to write one sign language, and not every sign language.
So I just searched for this hand shape, and it only has these signs that are actually in there. So you're like, you know what's that one supposed to be?
So you go to dictionary, and you look up the word there. See the word, it says minimum. What is it? I'm curious as to what the three are over there on the left that are all the same. Maybe they are just
me, myself.
And this one is self, skill. Oh, wow. They're just different people who've entered the same sign. And yeah, that's what happened there. So they could be combined into one entry with multiple definitions. That's what that could be.
Right,
so,
or if there's a hand shape that shouldn't be in there, we can just start deleting these out of the SignPuddle online or rewriting them to use the hand shapes that they're supposed to. And that way that...
Well, I'm sorry. I just feel so badly to have to interrupt you, but we only have 4 more minutes, I think, before the broadcast will actually be turned off on us. I believe that's what happens because we've scheduled it for exactly 4 hours.
I remember last time we went to 8 hours, and that was the limit that we could broadcast for. I don't think we should actually have a problem going over time.
Is that right, Adam? You don't know. You think what? We need to hear you. We're not sure what you mean. You're not sure. Well, then I may be wrong. Oops.
The only reason why I'm not using my mic right now is just because I know that when you're talking, I get a feedback loop with you. I don't know why.
I am sorry, but let's put it this way. I would like to tell you all about tomorrow and to thank Steve right now, just in case I am correct that that Google Hangouts is going to cut us off because I think we scheduled it for exactly 4 hours. Now, I may be wrong, and if that's the case, then Steve can keep talking, so that's cool. So I still want to thank you, Steve, very much for a great presentation, and also the presentation in our in the time that we had allotted as a break between 10:30 and 11 Pacific time. You used that time period to present the ASCII encoding that you have developed for sign writing. So I want to thank you for both of those presentations. I would like to suggest that we take the ASCII presentation and I will create another presentation webpage for it and make it number 53, which would be at the end, and we'll still have that video of what you taught, or we could redo a video to make it work with it, because I think it's an extremely important presentation. So thank you for adding a presentation for us. For all those who are watching and might have to leave in 2 minutes, I'd like you to know that tomorrow we have our last day of the SignWriting Symposium 2015. And tomorrow we start again, another 4 hours, and the first presentation will be by James Shepard Cagle on Nicaraguan Sign Language. The title is actually What Three Little Pigs and a Hungry Wolf Can Teach Us About Sign Language Grammar, which is simply because they wrote the story of Three Little Pigs and a Hungry Wolf, and when they wrote that in Nicaraguan Sign Language, in sign writing, they learned a lot about grammar, and that began research that was very important. So James will be telling us about that. The second session tomorrow will be from Germany, and it will be about another font for sign writing. And the third session is from Tunisia, and it's avatar software being programmed. Here it is. There's the sign type. Here's a memo sign. That's the last presentation tomorrow is from Tunisia, and Mohammed Ali Khanisi will be presenting a memo sign game, a match game for deaf learners using an avatar that was programmed also by Yusra Bozid. And if you go back one, the middle session tomorrow is called Sign Type, Designing a SignWriting Font, the Ideas and Challenges. And it's by a team of young designers in Germany at the University of Hamburg. So that's what's happening tomorrow. It's an exciting day. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Now, Steve, do you want to keep going? Because I think we have a minute, and wouldn't it be interesting to see if we can keep recording? And if so, you are welcome to keep talking. Go right ahead.
All right, I think I'm close to the end.
Okay, sorry.
Not at all. Preferences system. I was talking about the alphabet, right? For the alphabets, we'll get to customizations later. If you represent a certain language and you want to, rather than having the alphabet be programmatic for your language, if you would rather design one and have that be a static, I can replace the dynamic recreated alphabet every day with a predefined reduced alphabet, and that you can take out symbols that are only used once or twice, or you can add symbols that you think might be needed if you're going to write in the language. All right, that is it for the front end. Now we get more into the customization and the back end. If we look at this project, this is the actual SignMaker code. If you downloaded it, you're going to find about 70 kilobytes of configuration data. And that configuration data is broken down between 7K for the alphabet.js, and that is the structure of the SignWriting 2010 alphabet. And I have that in the alphabet.js file, that if you download the SignMaker code, you can actually go in there and you can update the alphabet, and you can customize the alphabet so that it displayed how you wanted and only included the symbols that you wanted to see. Dictionary.js, that is if you wanted to, there's a button right here, export dictionary. It gives you a dictionary.js file. You could just paste that or copy that file right over this dictionary.js file. And after that, you can actually use this button to reload dictionary. And that is a way to save your work. You could download that .js file, you could put it in that configuration directory, and you know that if your browser ever cleared the cache and removed your dictionary from your browser cache, you would always have that dictionary.js that you could reload. It's a great way to be able to back up your dictionary and also be able to restore it. All right, we talked about, the keyboard. I didn't show this at all. It's a work in progress, but you can, right now I'm just using the arrow keys, and you can just use the arrow keys to move it around.
Okay.
If you hold down the shift key, you can move it 10 pixels at a time.
Wow, that's nice.
If you use the tab, you can tab through the symbols that are selected. Or you can do a shift tab, and that would go the other way around the symbols that you had.
Does this work on an iPad or a tablet?
An iPad or tablet would have to have the keyboard visible, and the keyboard would only be visible when it was in one of these fields, but the keyboard elements don't work if you're in a field, so no, not on the tablet.
It's just on computers, exactly. Okay, but that's a great feature.
Right, yeah. We have the slash right there, and the slash does the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
We have the period, which will give us our change our fills, I believe.
Really? Wow. So do you have this documented here in your presentation, don't you?
No, I actually didn't put anything about the keyboard in it. We have the mirror key.
Okay, you're going to have to, we don't know what you're doing, Steve, when you're showing us this because we can't see your keyboard. So
right.
we don't know what keys you're touching. How did you just do the mirror key on your keyboard?
That is the comma, which should be the same as SignWriter DOS.
Oh, okay. Very good. So you have similar SignWriter commands, the command keys as we used to call them. Yes, the comma key was, I believe, the mirror key. That's correct, yeah.
And the slash is the rotation.
That's exactly it. That was true. It's been a long time. Go ahead.
Also, you can push the delete key. So you click on a symbol to select it, you push the delete key,
Wow.
and it'll just remove it. So I was trying to get some keyboard starting in there. It's really kind of rough. What I have so far is actually defined in this keyboard.js file.
Okay. Well, but just for everybody else's knowledge, you can still do editing even if you don't have the keyboard in the way that Steve is using by just clicking on the Edit tab. Yes, go ahead.
Right, yeah, and you can check out the keyboard.js. I know not all the keyboards are the same, so that is another way you could customize the software if you had it downloaded.
Okay.
The majority of that configuration data, we have 65K, and that's in the messages.js. And that has all that user interface for the Arabic, for the English, for the French, for the Norse, American Sign Language, and that's all in there. So if you wanted to download, you could customize all the keys and all the messages on the keys. Or if your language isn't available in the user interface, you could add it here, and then you could contribute to the project, and we could get that new languages in the user interface.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's actually go to that SignMaker. And this is the actual code right here, and you can see we have the alphabet.js. Lots of code, again, you're going to see. But that's nothing more complicated than organizing everything by symbol keys. So symbol keys are a little bit scary, but it's a nice, succinct way, because S10000 is the index, and under the index, here's all the symbol keys that we have.
Okay.
And so all of the information is in a file that you can update and change if you want. We have dictionary, which is empty, keyboard, but messages. Here's the really nice one. You can look through, and we have all the different sign language names that can be translated. We have the ISWA names for all the different base symbols. And then you scroll down further, and we get to the, oh, there's a lot of symbols.
There are. Yes, there are.
All right, and after the symbols, 38B, there we go. We start getting our messages, and here's AR for Arabic, and you can see that we have all of our Arabic strings in that. And then after we have our American Sign Language interface, and in that we use our formal sign writing strings. Any sign language, you can just put get the right language code and just put in your formal sign writing strings.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one for clear entry. So I can actually copy that, and all right. In SignMaker, on the Dictionary tab, there's a field that says FSW. You can not only copy the formal sign writing out of there, you can actually paste it in. So that entry that I had under the clear, this is what it looks like. If I didn't like how that looks, I could take that symbol and let's rotate it that way. And we'll take this symbol and we'll rotate it that way. Yep, that's how I want the symbol. You go in here and you can double click and get that FSW, copy, and you could go back to that code, and you could just replace it right there in your configuration. And
wow.
We could quickly build user interfaces in the different sign languages that we want to use. Let's see. That is the configuration. Before I was talking about the include library. Here's this support library, and that's only about 48K. Take a quick look at the support libraries. That's in the lib directory. There is Dragability, which makes everything drag and drop properly across all the browsers and on our phones and on our tablets. That's a pretty small library. We have the Mithril min.js. That's just a framework similar to Angular, but a lot simpler, a lot smaller. About 20K. We have the SignWriting 2010 min.js. And that is the SignWriting 2010 JavaScript library. It's 20K. It gives you all of the functionality that you need to make SignWriting applications. And there's a Translate min, and that just helps us switch between the user interfaces, just a little support library. the only 3 files I had to write, I wrote the index HTML, I wrote an index JS, and I wrote an index CSS. And that is what this about 60K of custom HTML, JavaScript, and CSS is. And that 60K is all that SignMaker is built and using. So we have a lot of functionality in a pretty small package. If you download it and install it on your own computer, and you want to get some SignPuddle online dictionaries, you can get dictionaries or alphabet online. Here's the alphabet link. Here's the dictionary link. And you click on there, and you have to know the language code for your dictionary.
Yes.
So I know that ASCII is actually American Sign Language, so if I wanted the American Sign Language dictionary, I would just take this dictionary and I would copy it. And then I could take in my code, and in the configuration, there's an alphabet and a dictionary directory. Under the SignMaker configuration dictionary, on your local code that you had on your computer, you would actually just paste it in this directory. And then later, when you went into your own copy of SignMaker, you could go under More, System, and that dictionary would appear under the loading dictionary. Let's see, same thing for alphabets. You just put it in the config alphabet or the config dictionary. Yeah, a lot of things to cover in there. I hope I didn't go too quick. I think it's a great little program. I think it's a lot of fun, too.
Oh, it is. It's a wonderful program. It's not even little. It's actually humongous from a software development point of view. And from a user's point of view, it actually feels like a small little program because maybe just because of the size of the tablets we're using or the phones that we're using. Although I'm going to be frank with everybody, I use it on my computer actually because even though I love tablets, I prefer to use my mouse and be on a big screen. So everybody can do whatever they wish. You can go to signbank.org/signmaker.html for a little user interface that I created just to get you in. You know, you can click on a flag or whatever and get in there, and then you can just start playing around. So, yes, Steve, would you like to say anything else?
Yeah, oh, if you're on a computer and you're using the mouse, you can get hover and tooltips.
Oh, yes, that's true. There they are. Yeah, you get information that way. Yeah.
Touch single, touch multiple, touch between.
Yeah, see the words that are there. That's called a tooltip, apparently. I used to call it a mouse over, but I guess that term went away.
Yep. The tooltips also work on the dictionary side, so you could actually see what the spoken language is for any of these entries that appear in the dictionary without having to load them. And look down here.
That's a wonderful feature to know what the gloss is for that sign by just putting your mouse over the sign in the dictionary on your computer, and up comes that word popcorn, so you know that's what the person was writing. Very good. You can also see it under the dictionary tab, as you can see. And to change the signs, well, you just drag one into that box, that yellow box, and you just click on Edit, and you start making changes to the sign that you don't like, and then you make it a local dictionary and save what you did. It's kind of simple as that. And for me, I just started using it. I didn't even have to have instruction. We also created some video instruction, which just shows my mouse running around on the screen. If you want to look in YouTube or on our HTML page, signmaker.html, under signbank.org, down at the bottom, you have links to different videos and to Steve's work, to all his code. Steve, it's a phenomenal development, and I hope more people will contribute the spoken languages of their country to help us get more languages available. Here's the signmaker.html page. If you go down, Steve, to down lower, or click on video instruction, see where it says videos there. If you click there, you see how there are a bunch of YouTube videos that I created. All I did was just simply show people how I used it as a user. And you just click on one of those and it shows you how my mouse was moving around. And I did talk in English, so we certainly have lots to caption, don't we? But yeah, and they're not the greatest. But but some people have watched them, and I believe some people are using SignMaker because of the videos. So, Steve, I want to thank you. This has been a remarkable development, and thank you for the 2 presentations today.